Welcome back to the Miserable Podcast. We are, I think, on episode 19 now.
Who's counting anymore?
We are.
All right. Sorry.
Today we're going to talk about a topic that we just picked off a list because we sat down to do a podcast and didn't know what we were going to do. So we sat here.
Happens often.
Making strange noises and thinking. Today's topic is our biggest insecurities. Phill says he has no insecurities. That's interesting.
No. See, that's what happens.
Things get taken
People
out of
typically
context.
just hear whatever they want to hear.
I heard what you said.
You know, he's not
That
aware of
wasn't
what
it.
his biggest insecurity is.
I do have insecurities.
Of course you do. You're human.
But I don't know what my biggest insecurity is.
So you mean like you have a number of insecurities, but you don't know which one you would say is like most significant
Yeah.
or affects you the most?
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it's the same for me. And I think my insecurities mostly are situational.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Like, I can be insecure about being a drummer, but not at my church on Sunday. But then, you tell me.
But is that whoa. Is that insecurity though?
A little bit.
Or is it because of the platform that you're playing on? The familiarity with the platform?
I think so. I think it's because when I'm, for that example, if I'm around people that I know, people that I'm familiar with, and I'm doing something that I always do, I'm okay. Even if I'm not the greatest drummer, I'm not really thinking about that. But you put me in a different situation, maybe a bigger platform, more people I don't know as well, and there's more pressure, then I start questioning my ability. And then that makes me insecure about my skill set when it comes to being a drummer. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say mine is situational. So I wouldn't say that I'm insecure about being a musician, but in the right setting, I am, if that makes sense.
Sure. So it's like, would you guys think that being nervous before something, like maybe a performance, like as a musician, or a job interview, or maybe a conversation with a superior or something like that, those situations where you may or may not feel nervous about an upcoming thing, do you think that is insecurity, or do you feel like those are two independent feelings?
I think those are different.
Yeah.
Because you could be nervous about something, and I think being nervous is natural. Mm-hmm. But you can still be confident, because I've shown up to shoot things like on set. Okay, I got to film this thing, and I've been nervous about it because it's bigger than maybe something I've had to do before. But I'm confident. I'm like, oh, I got this. Mm-hmm. So I'm not insecure in that sense, but I'm still nervous. So that's why I think it's two different things.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Just that example. Especially if it's something that, like, if you're shooting something, and it's a project either that's larger than what you've done before, or maybe it's just a new, like, category or something like that, you're not necessarily feeling inadequate of your ability to do that bass thing, like, making the film or whatever.
Right.
But like the thing that makes you nervous or have any sort of apprehension is just the new twist on the situation. You're confident in your ability to kill it because you've done it in other situations, but it's just like wandering into new territory in a way.
Right. Or maybe I did the appropriate preparation for that situation. So even though I'm nervous about it because it's new, I've practiced this. I've looked up how to do this. I've tried it. I'm ready to go, type of thing. So I think insecurities are developed. Nervousness is just a natural thing that
Instinct.
occurs. Right. It's just instinctual, I guess, if that's a word.
It is, yeah.
Okay. Just had to make sure. I'm just like throwing stuff out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that through our life experiences is kind of how insecurities develop. It could be in the way you were raised, the culture that you come from, your group of friends, because you're not going to be you might not be insecure about your looks until someone goes,
Yes.
your face looks funny.
Right.
And now you're thinking, oh, dang, does my hair look dumb?
That's crazy. I was just thinking the same thing.
You know what I'm saying?
A lot of times people put their insecurities off on you.
Yep.
Sure, yeah.
And then all of a sudden now you're insecure about something that before you didn't even care about. Like it wasn't even like a big deal. And now all of a sudden you find yourself being insecure. And I think like I'm thinking about the topic, and I'm trying to figure out like what my biggest insecurity is, and I think I got it. But I wanted to touch on like the nervousness thing that you're talking about. For years, I led rally worship. Before it was rally worship, it was like Radiate Ministries,
right?
Or whatever that was. And I remember one time I told someone, I forgot who it was I was telling, I was like, yo, I still get nervous every time I get on stage. And they're like, what? Every single time. It's like I got nervous. Now, they never saw that.
Right.
Because that was always the challenge
It's
for
internal.
me, right? So although I may be nervous, you don't need to know that I'm nervous. And that was always like a fun challenge for me. Like, how do I channel this nervousness in a way and control it? Because I think it's very cool that you can control things that naturally come over you.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's like, it's crazy when like some people like just freak out and like just lose it. And it's like, how do you like reel it back in and control it and contain these emotions? And that's basically what it is. It's just all these different emotions that's kind of like going on. And it's like, how do you just cut it out, calm down, and just be comfortable in the skills and the talents and the gifts that God has given you, and just let it do what it's got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
So I think that was very cool for me to have these nervous emotions, but the person that's even on the stage with me, or the people on the stage with me, didn't really know. And I definitely think that that's cool. But yeah, piggyback to what you were talking about. I think that's how a lot of insecurities are developed. A lot of times people say things to you that you didn't even notice. And I think that's how my insecurity was developed. It was someone pointing something out that to me, I didn't really knew that.
Yeah.
That was, that was a big deal until enough people start pointing it out. And then all of a sudden I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm thinking like as you're saying that. So I feel like you mentioned multiple people pointing something out, right?
Right.
So sometimes we go through our day to day and we're naive to certain things that we do. Not necessarily are they bad or good, right? They're just things that we do, or ways that we carry ourselves, or things that we say. And sometimes people point those things out, like you mentioned, maybe putting off their own insecurities onto somebody else. Like they're self-conscious about like their looks. So what they do is make fun of other people because for whatever reason, psychologically, that makes them feel better. But I think, and I'm leading up to a question, is I think sometimes it's important as like an element of society, and it's probably something that's been around forever, right? That people point out something to you. Not necessarily something that's wrong with you, especially if it's like appearance-based stuff. if it's coming from the wrong like motivation, then it's just like whatever. You're just trying to pick on someone.
Right.
Sometimes people who care about you will, say something about that category, but like in a more like loving way, or like a way that you want to hear it. Like if you're like, how does this look? And you're like, I don't know if that outfit really is you, or something like that. You know what I mean?
That's also a skill though that you have to learn, that a lot of people don't know how to really deliver. Critiquing something or someone, it's definitely a skill, because it has to be handled in such a delicate way. The way how you deliver that can easily shut someone off from you.
Right.
And it's like, I guess from me just being in management and just dealing with people, it's like trying to figure out those things sometimes could be very like touchy.
Yeah.
You could say, and it changes depending on the day,
the relationship,
how that person feel. It's such a touchy thing. To me, the best thing to do is just not to do it. If someone asks for your input, then sure, give your 2 cents, because I think they're asking for a couple of different reasons. Mm-hmm. They value your opinion, or they like the attention, or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. But that's a skill that's not always
right.
I think on the other side of that too, I think there's also a skill in deciphering what someone means by the thing that they say to you.
That's tough though.
It is.
Because to say, all right, you say something, and it depends on the individual. I think as an individual, you have to understand what you want to accept and what you don't. But there's some young kids out there that's just like sponges. So whatever you say to them, they're just going to hold it.
Right.
Right. They haven't developed in a way where it's kind of like, nah, that's trash. I'm not even trying to hear that. Or understand that you have the power to accept what someone is saying to you, making life out of it, or just, going the other way.
Yeah.
That's definitely a skill though. It's just, I think a lot of these things that we're talking about, probably because we've overcome them or on the journey to overcome them, it's easy for us to say that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's easy from the point that we're standing at, it's easy for us to say, oh yeah, it's definitely that, or you can definitely do that. But
would you say that the process of people either projecting their own insecurities or pointing things out that leads you to an insecurity of your own, do you think that's a overall like a positive and necessary thing in life?
Yes, I do, for development. Just like what you were talking about, because you were saying, there's kids that take things a certain way because they haven't learned, or they haven't been able to grow. They haven't had the chance to grow yet. I think through the relationships that we have, all of them, we learn how to navigate them differently. You start learning when someone's saying something to you because they're pointing out a flaw because they want to help you. Hey, sometimes you're a little selfish. Sometimes you're a little rude. Sometimes you're very inconsiderate. They might say those things. And as you grow and you learn not to say, okay, this person's not attacking me. They're helping me. And that maybe starts with your parents, because your parents tell you what you're doing wrong.
Right.
I think that if you don't go through the process of dealing with those different things, whether the insecurities are negative or you're looking at them from a negative standpoint, or you're looking at them from a positive standpoint, as far as like, okay, that person's just being a bully and I know I'm not that.
Right.
Those things, as you grow and you learn and you experience those things, you get better at deciding what those things are coming from other people. If I tell you, I don't really like that hat, that I'm saying that's not my style.
Right.
I'm not saying that the hat, it looks bad on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
14-year-old us, if I say, yo, I don't like that hat, you might go home and be like, dang, yo, they was talking about my hat at school. You know what I'm saying?
Again.
Or you might be like, forget that guy. And like, close that relationship. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But through maturity.
Right. That's the key word right there.
Right.
That's the key word.
You learn what things mean, or you learn how to take things. Sometimes, even when you do get older, people are jerks, but you know how to say, okay, you're not coming from a good place, and I don't have to take what you're saying and accept it into my life.
Sure.
So I do think that it is a process and it's necessary.
You have to learn how to decipher those messages that are coming in and taking it, like you're saying, like either taking it to heart and it being something that's important for you personally, or just saying, no, that's not something that it's not relevant to me at all. They're just coming at me for no reason. So you have to decipher that if it's relative for your growth or necessary for your growth, but also is like what you're saying, like where is it coming from? And I mean, because communication is weird, right? Especially now, there's so many different ways for us to communicate, and it can be, depending on how you're communicating with someone, it can be easy to misunderstand something or to miscommunicate something.
Yeah.
To say something to someone completely meaningless, and if you just, if you're texting them especially, like, or email or something, like, one omission of like an LOL or an emoji, or like, saying something a specific way can very easily lead to some sort of miscommunication that can lead to an argument. And but in like spoken communication and in person, there's still ways to misunderstand that. And it's easy to have a conversation with someone, even someone that you're close with.
Yeah.
And then like walk away from that conversation and like dwell on it and be like, what were they trying to say? And it literally could have been like nothing. But sometimes we just, and it doesn't happen all the time. It depends on the kind of person you are. Some people don't do it at all. Some people do it all the time.
Right.
Some people do it every now and then, depending on the situation and the relationship. But, just deciphering and learning, like, not only if it's applicable to you or valuable to you, but also, what are they saying? How am I going to take it too? Because that's another layer. Just like, they might be saying something and mean it one way, but maybe they're not close enough to the situation to know exactly the right thing to say. So you're like, okay, this is how I'm going to apply this message from this person to my situation. You know what I mean?
I definitely, that's really how I approach everything, man. Now, I feel like every situation that I go through, good, bad, or indifferent, there's always something to take from it. And to your question, is it necessary to go through these different conflicts, or what was your question again?
Just like, is either the unnecessary projection of other people's insecurity on you, or just things that you become aware of, insecurities that you have because of other people making
Is it necessary?
Is it necessary for like as a human being?
Yeah, if you want to survive in this jungle, definitely.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because I'm saying, it's the craziest thing. I got a call one day. It's a guy making a delivery at the store. He's like, "Hey, I'm here at the store." So I'm like, "All right, cool. Hang tight. I'll be out there in a second." I went outside, and this dude was just a straight up jerk, bro. Like, straight off the top, I just wanted to two-piece him. But I'm like, yo, like, whatever, man. Right? He's like, he's upset. He's just mad. And I think the craziest thing is, being that I deal with so many people throughout the day, it's very cool to see the different types of people that you just come across, right? So this dude was just straight up being a jerk. And I just started like smiling at him because I'm just like, this dude is pathetic, yo.
Did he take that shot the wrong way?
So, he's doing his thing and he's getting ready to go. I signed his paperwork and I was like, hey, man, have a great day. And he was like, hey, can I say something to you? And I was like, what's up? He was like, I was trying my best to like piss you off. And I was like, what? He was like, that's what I was trying to do. But it didn't work. Bro, it blew my mind. He was like, that's what I do. I get up every day. He was like, you can call my company and talk to him. That's what I do. And it hit me. And I'm like, yo, bro, there's people that wake up every day. And they just get up. They're so miserable for whatever reason. They just want to make other people as miserable as they are. Huh. And this dude straight up with a straight face told me that. He was like, I just wanted to make you upset. I wanted to get you upset, but it wasn't working.
Wow.
And
that's
I was
wild,
like,
bro.
It blew my, like I went back inside and I was talking to my friend George and I was like, yo, this dude just listen to what this dude just said. And we were baffled, bro. I was just like, that's crazy. But it's happening and it happens. He was just bold enough to say it.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
There's people that's doing that every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
I didn't even know what to say to the dude. And I was like,
I don't know what's crazier to me. The fact that, I guess it is normal that there are people like that. Yeah. But I think the fact that he was so intentional about trying to get you mad.
Right.
And then he was like, it didn't work. I have to tell him that I was trying to get him mad.
He was self-aware, but
like that whole situation just blows my mind.
That's weird.
It was like the craziest thing, bro. And I was just like, well, I don't know what to tell you. In that moment, because I'm pretty hot-headed, to be honest. However, I've just learned over the years that I'm getting older too. So it's like, if I could not deal with it, then it's like, man, whatever. I don't really have to deal with it. Plus, I like that. I like that I've grown to a space where I could just smile at it. I could smile at the trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it took me a while to get there. You know, the young dude from the highway, if you look at me wrong, like, I'm like, what's up? But to see the progress and growth as a person, it's like, it's great. So now that you're intentionally trying to make me upset, I can smile at you and look at you and be like, yo, have a good day. Mm-hmm. Right? So even that in itself just taught me, like, bro, like, there's people that's trying to destroy you on a daily basis. Like, that's the reason that they get up. This man said it.
It's crazy.
He's like, you can call my company. There've been reports on it.
That's so weird.
He's known for that.
He had references for his miserableness.
You don't believe me that I'm a bad person? You call this people.
My man was just like, yo, call him. He's like,
is he a good worker? How is he got all these complaints? And he's like, call my company.
I don't
for
even
proof.
know.
And he's still got that job.
Probably because he know ain't nobody gonna call nobody. You know
might have tenure or something. I don't know.
I don't know what it is.
That's wild.
But
a delivery driver.
But also, too, another thing that I'm learning is that, you know, like that type of job where you're spending all that time by yourself, it's for a particular person. Those people, they're typically miserable. And they're in that position because they just work better by themselves. You know what I'm saying? So they're not necessarily like, truck drivers are, they're probably the most miserable people I've ever met. Like, ever. Like, they're all of them, for the most part. There's a few, they're like really cool and chill, but they're always crying about something. They're always like in a rush.
Mm-hmm.
They're never on time.
They're always in a rush, but never on time.
Never on time, bro. They make these appointments, and you're just like, all right, man, you just gotta wait. Get in wherever you fit in. Your appointment was 2 hours ago. What? I gotta wait? Bro, you're late. What do you want me to tell you? Right? And I even try to break it down to him. And I'm like, listen, if you showed up to the doctor's office, let's say you had an appointment at Kaiser. Your appointment's at 9 o'clock.
Break it down to him.
Right? You missed your appointment at 9. All right? You're there at 11. Do you get mad at them and be like, I gotta wait? No. You sit down and you wait.
Or you come back another day. So
Whatever. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it's just crazy. But the thing that I brought that up, man, it's like there's something to take from that. And the development and the foundation that was built from early on, it's through those different interactions and experiences that you kind of deal with. And it's two things, man. Honest, it's a jungle out here in this world, right? And it's dog eat dog. And you have to have a good frame of mind to understand what's happening, because it'll swallow you and spit you out, right? And people really don't. We live in a society now, man. It's like it's crazy. People don't care about people anymore. There's just this thought that keeps bouncing around my mind, and it's like, at what point did humanity stop being humane to each other? And I don't know why. It's just been bouncing around in my head, but it's just been on my mind because we're not humane to each other anymore at all. Right? So it's like, at what point can we just, be humane to each other?
Right.
Be human beings. But anyway.
Just selfishness, right? That's people, I guess. All right. So for instance, like your truck driver story, like, he gets something, he gets positive energy or positive to him on his twist by making other people miserable, right? So in a weird way, that's the opposite of what humans have, but like, so he gets joy or whatever from making someone upset. But it's not always like that. A lot of times we're selfish to one another just because we're not thinking of the fact that we're being selfish to one another. Like the overbuying and panic buying in the grocery stores. And I don't go to the grocery store that often, only when I have to. So I don't know if it's still bad with certain things. But like at the beginning, the big thing was like toilet paper.
Right.
People were going to stores, and you could see videos. People going to stores and they're like, even like big bulk stores like Sam's and Costco and stuff like that. And people were buying like multiple packs of those big, huge packs of toilet paper. You don't need that much toilet paper. There's no way you do. Right.
All right.
But people would go and they would buy all this toilet paper. Then they'd go to the next store and buy more. And they're stockpiling all this stuff for what reason? The reason probably a lot of people are thinking is other people are panic buying. I need to make sure if at some point the stores don't get toilet paper for a long time, that we have some for our family, for ourselves.
But that don't get you a little bit though?
No, it does. No. I'm just trying to say, like, that's like people, not everybody who went out and panic bought toilet paper was doing it because they're like, I don't want you to have it. They're like, I want us to make sure that we're all taken care of.
Right.
So it's selfishness without even realizing in a way that you're being selfish because you're trying to take care of you and yours. But at the same time, you're leaving the people who are not as able-bodied as you or don't have as much of an income or whatever the case may be or means of getting it, because there was other pictures and videos floating around of like, elderly people there after the stores were cleaned out, like, picking up a box of tissues because that's like the only thing that was left, So, I mean,
I think with that situation, in a lot of situations like that, I don't necessarily think that people are saying, I don't want you to have it, or I got to make you feel bad because it makes me feel better, or I get joy from making people feel bad. I think it stems from fear or insecurity. So like when the pandemic hit and there was like, rumors about everything shutting down, and even before it actually shut down, people were panic buying, I think mostly because they thought, I don't want to be the person without. Mm-hmm. So what they did in those moments is they thought about themselves above other people. But I think it stems from insecurity. I don't necessarily think that people are not being decent human beings to each other just for the sake of being evil or being, just being mean or whatever you want to call it. But I think a lot of it is like, even if I'm not comfortable in my own skin, right? I might be the type of person to say something that makes you feel uncomfortable in your own skin too. Not because I want to hurt you, but because I don't want to be the only one hurting. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think that the root of it all stems from insecurity. I'm scared I'm going to be without, therefore I'm going to buy as much as I can. And there are people who are opportunists and who do have evil intent
absolutely.
And malicious intent. Because we see it on, we saw the what was it, like the two brothers or something?
In Chattanooga? Yeah,
I think so.
They went to like every like dollar store and everything in the region. They bought like all the hand sanitizer, toilet paper, like a number of those like things that were like going out of stock real quick. And they had like a whole garage full of it.
Is that the FBI one? Are those the guys that were trying to sell it on Amazon or eBay or something like that? For like a ridiculous price?
They were price gouging. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. They ended up like being stuck with it. Like they weren't allowed to sell it. Law enforcement did something. Yeah. And the last I heard, I hadn't looked into the story in like a month or so, because this was like March or something like that when this went down. But they, the last I heard, I think they were told that they basically all they could do is donate it or keep
Sucks.
it. Donate it or keep it.
Yep, that's exactly.
They probably spent so much money on it too. I mean, for them. They had like 170,000 bottles of hand sanitizer, something ridiculous like that.
And look, I'm all about like, I get it. Like when the new PlayStation comes out and someone buys hundreds of them. Yeah. That's annoying, but like no one is like hurting because they can't get those things. They were buying things that people needed and then trying to sell it, which is a little, that's like, it's almost like not necessarily as bad as this. It's almost like buying up medicine if there was like a limited supply and then I'm like, I'm going to sell it back to you for more, even though you need this.
It was like one guy that, was it Martin Shkreli? Is that his name?
Yeah, I think so.
Who was like price gouging on this very specific medicine that his company made. That's the kind of people, yes, that are like doing with maybe not even evil. Maybe evil is the wrong word, but like just themselves in mind. Oh yeah, pure selfish intentions.
Yeah.
I agree. But companies eat that up too, though.
Yeah, I guess the funny thing is like a lot of times we criticize the individual. Yeah. When this is kind of just a fact of life and in our society.
If you look at as a sneaker lover, right? Nike does that. Like they only put out a certain amount of sneakers.
Yeah, it's a false scarcity, is what it is.
Right. So it's like, and it's not that they don't have the resources to put out more. It's just the excitement and the hype that's developed out of, this particular shoe. Like, think about it. They're basically putting out the same shoes over and over and over and over, especially when it comes to like Jordans. Like, it's like the same thing.
Just different.
No one's buying the new ones.
Yeah.
They were putting out really good stuff. And then they went through like the early 2000s. They started putting out like some trash material, but people were still buying it.
Yeah.
And then, they're like, all right, now we're going to raise the price and we're going to use better material. And it's like they're putting out a limited amount of sneakers.
Right.
That to the point that as soon as they hit, there's people like developing like different apps and stuff.
Yeah, to go in and buy all those things.
To just buy all of them.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
there was
the
something.
bots. Like, so you can buy a bot for like $60 or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And it makes you like skip the line. So I don't know if you know about it right now. So let's say like this Saturday, the Flint Blue 13s are going to drop, right? If I want a pair of those, being that obviously you can't go to the store, and I used to go to the stores back in the day, but I'm just too old for that. If I get up and get it online, I get it. Like at like I remember the wildest one. It's like 2:00 in the morning. I was at Springfield Mall. There was a shoe store upstairs. I don't think it was downtown, like Sports Zone or something like that. Oh yeah, upstairs. And I got up mad early in the morning, and I just sat down, bro. I was like second in line, and it was for like cement 3s or something like that. I got to the line. I was like, yo, I need a size 11. Dude's like, I got 11 and a half. I was like, I'll take it. Like, whatever, bro. Right? But being, all that stuff was going on. But I remember when I was like in like early high school, I could go to Springfield Mall at like a week later and get the shoe off the shelf. But the company understood like the hype that was being developed around these shoes and said, this is what they're going to do. Bro, if on Saturday, I'm pretty sure if I get up at like 11 o'clock, get on the Nike site, look up Flint 13s or Jordan 13s, I'm pretty sure they're going to be sold out by like 10:30.
Yeah.
That's when I stopped being like, I was never like a real sneakerhead, but when it got complicated, I stopped like paying attention. I was like, I can't do it. It's just too much.
It just becomes too much. And then there's people that they'll buy these bills and they'll buy 4 or 5 pairs of them, right? Once they sell out, bro, that price, depending on the shoe, it can double.
Yeah.
So you're paying $230. You might be getting that for like $460 on StockX or something like that.
Bro, my wife asked me
Let's turn from insecurities to shoe shopping.
Don't do it.
My wife asked me for something. I can't remember what shoes they were. And they're I can't remember. They're the ones I always like too. And they're pretty popular. So I went online to look. And I was like, yeah, we're going to have to wait on these, bro. They were like $400. I was like, nah, not right now.
So insecurities.
Yeah.
What's your biggest insecurity?
I don't know if this is necessarily an insecurity, or maybe this isn't the right way to say it. There's like another name for this. But I get insecure. I think it goes beyond just like nervousness, is being in front of a large number of people for whatever reason. I become more aware of like, I don't battle with insecurities about like physical insecurities about myself. I mean, I have things about myself like anybody that I want to improve or work on. But it's not something that like consumes me to a point where it's something that's on my mind all the time or that I'm worried about it. But it's something that I become more aware of when I'm in front of a bunch of people or a large number of people.
When you say in front of, like, you mean like if you're like at a concert
where people are looking at me.
Okay, so when you're like at the center of
and it's not even necessarily like I have to be the center of attention. So like, I'll give you 2 different examples. Like, I feel that way when people are paying attention to me, even if like I'm not the one that's necessarily like if I go up on stage, like when we've done this before, when we've talked about like far flung trips on Sunday morning at church, and I've gotten up on stage with Jeremy, and I like in some of those situations I don't say anything, but I'm just there. Right. You know what I mean? We're like maybe I'll make a mention of something or what have you, but like I get insecure in situations like that, but also when I'm not the one that is like people are there to see. Like if I'm shooting a concert and I get on stage on the side or in the back or whatever, like I know people are looking at me. Not all the time. Obviously they're there for the show, but they're probably, because I've been that person before. Like, I'll look at that, you know, that camera guy or whatever. Like it's just something like I know that at some point people are looking at me. Right. You know what I mean? And I don't necessarily think it's a negative thing necessarily. Like I do need to be more confident when it comes to being in front of people in a situation where I am being paid attention to, like public speaking, things like that. But sorry, that was
I was trying to ignore it.
That was all in my throat.
And then you laughed, and I was like, "Is Phill laughing?" And then I looked at him, and he was laughing.
You trying to save that jump.
I tried. I do need to be more confident in that, but like the other times, like when I just become aware of the fact that people are probably looking at me and I start feeling a little bit insecure, it's never something where I'm like, I retreat into myself and I go like hide or something like that. It's like, I'm there to do something. I'm there for a job. And sure, if people see me, that's just part of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
I could feel you on that. Yeah. I don't like crowds. Mm-hmm. I don't like a larger group of people. So I could definitely feel you on that.
Yeah.
Just I with that, I don't like being the center of attention. If I'm the drummer and I'm in the back, I'm cool. Ain't nobody looking at me like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But if I'm like on the front line,
which you've been like, you know, lead on like singing and things like that.
Right. Yeah. So I don't like it. Yeah. And I don't like the attention that it brings. I don't like being the attention of anything. Like if I could be the fly on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah, same.
You know what I'm saying? I'm with it. Or if I'm like in the back and somebody like, yo, what's up, Phill? I hate that. Yeah. I hate that, yo. Just give me the head nod and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't call me out like that. Like, because now everyone's like,
right.
Oh my God.
There he is. Get him.
No, I feel you. Like, because like back when I used to play bass with like on Sundays and Wednesdays and stuff like that back in the day, like I was on stage. I never really ever felt insecure, but that was mostly because I was like, who pays attention to the bass guitars for starters? But off to the side, often I can kind of like just like be in zone, like just, you know, like right next to the drummer, if it was you or if it was Jeremy or something like that, or if it was you. I don't know if we ever played together.
Nah.
But, you know, like it was far away from the thing that people were paying attention to, but I was up there, you know.
Let me ask you a question, because you said something that made me think about something. So I think when it comes to insecurities, I was actually thinking this earlier in the conversation. It's important to know that, one, it's okay to feel insecure, and two, to learn how to push through it and past it.
Right.
You just said you don't like being the center of attention. You prefer to be the person on the drums versus the person in the front singing.
Right.
I've seen you take control of the stage and just with confidence get on that stage, sing a song, lead worship. Even like at the end of service, you've gotten up there when you didn't have to. You just felt like that's where things were moving.
Right.
So what I wanted to say is, I think it's super important to learn how to push past your insecurities.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Because even that's part of the growth that you were mentioning earlier, like how necessary it is to experience those things and learn how to get through them regardless of your feelings,
Right.
so that you can grow and control them more as you move on through life.
Yeah.
Most
So
definitely.
it made me think about it when you were like, yeah, I don't really like that. And I was like, that makes sense to me. But at the same time, I see how much confidence and how you're able to like push through that and be like, you know what? I got to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that's pretty.
Yeah. I mean, I think we don't grow unless we're pushed out of like our comfort zone.
The biggest analogy I could think about, especially when you're talking about growth, we could look at it when you're talking about weightlifting, right? In order for your muscles to grow, you have to basically put it through a lot of adversity, a lot of, you got to basically break down the muscle. You got to tear the muscle.
Yeah.
And to allow it to grow. So really, if we look at, growth in whatever areas of your life that you need it, like you really got to you got to break it. You got to get in there. You got to break it up and go through it. My biggest insecurity, and it's not necessarily an insecurity to me anymore because I've just embraced it. But for the longest time, my skin complexion was an insecurity to me. Not the fact that I'm black, it's just how dark I was. And it's not it's something that came to my attention once I came to the States. In Jamaica, of course, there's a lot of different complexions. There's, lighter Jamaicans, there's Chinese Jamaicans, there's white Jamaicans. Really? Yeah, it's like it's out of many one people, bro. So it's a lot of different people,
right?
That are Jamaicans. However, it's never like, yo, why are you so dark?
Welcome to America.
And I'm like, what?
Oh, so people actually said that to you when you came here?
Yo, you mad dark, son.
Like other black people did?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right? And it's just like, I never really thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
And through other people pointing out how dark I was, it was just like, I just started becoming insecure with, but then as I got older, it was like, yo, that's stupid. I'm really I can't change nothing about that.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with it either.
At all. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I was very insecure about that, to the point where I just felt like I just needed to wear a particular type of clothes and colors to not necessarily like stand out. Right? And I battled with that for most of my high school years. It wasn't until I got out of high school that I really, it is what it is.
How stupid that was.
That's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe that has something to do with the fact that I don't want to be in the front. But regardless of, like, you know what? I am who I am. It is what it is.
Yeah.
If you don't like the way how I look, if you don't like how dark I am, then don't look at me, bro.
Turn around. Close your eyes.
Close your eyes. You know what I'm saying? But, people always got something to say.
Sure.
And what I've just embraced is whatever you got to say to me or about me, good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't really affect me. Like, your words and your thoughts don't make me who I am at all. So sure, you could say whatever you want to say.
Right.
That's cool. I'm at a level now that I don't care. It's fine.
Yeah. That's an important place to get to in life. If you're not there yet, to realize the difference between people are always going to say things to you.
Right.
That like force of resistance is always going to be there. But how you apply it to your life, getting to that point where you realize what they say doesn't make me who I am. How I take what they say is what makes me who I am.
They love me, bro. Right. So
they want to point out your flaws enough. They must care about you.
Right. So it's the main thing now that I do is just control the things that you can control.
Mm-hmm.
A person saying something or putting their unneeded thoughts out there, I can't control that. What I can control is how I respond to that and how I allow that to make me feel.
Mm-hmm.
So it does take some time. Like I said, like I only wore like black shirts, white shirts, gray shirts, just because I felt like it didn't make my skin tone stand out much. Now, bro, I don't care what color it is, dog. I don't care.
Pink.
If you like it, you gonna wear it.
If I like it, I'm gonna wear it.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Like it's so crazy. Like I wear the baldy, right? And one day I went to work without a hat. And this dude started laughing at me, dog. And for a quick second, I felt the insecurity coming on.
Hold on a second.
Like,
what do you said you did what?
Baldy.
Oh, you're bald. Like you mean shave your head. Sorry, I didn't understand the way you said that.
My bad.
Cultural differences. I'm sorry.
Kenny was like, bald.
He's like, what brand is that? Is that like Nautica?
This dude, like, he like, yo, I didn't know that. He was like, yo, that's crazy, right? And I'm like, I just for one, he pointed it out and he kind of singled me out, right? And immediately, like, I felt like the insecurity, like, oh man, I'm never going to work like that ever again. And just the rebellious person that I am, for like 3 days, I went to work no hat. Right? Because I want to challenge myself.
That's so Phill.
Right? To like, if you're going to, try to, I just got to fight against it because I understand what could be developed if I just allow that to just be and fester. And all of a sudden now I'm going to be dealing with like a complexity that I may never grow out of. And I'm like, man, forget it, yo. I got to just deal with that head on.
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, 3 days, yo. And like, that's exactly what I said to myself. Yo, 3 days. No hat, yo.
You're going to let everybody in that store know.
Yeah, you're going to have to look at yourself in my bald head, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the crazy thing was, I was thinking about this earlier, about how people put their insecurities off on you. See, the reason why he made it a point to talk about my bald head is because his hair was already receding and he's holding on to it. And he's insecure about him losing his hair, that he got a point. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think it's a natural thing that people do. Some people intentionally, some people unintentionally. If I'm falling and you're in front of me, to brace myself up, I'm gonna just push you down.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Like you're in front of me, and if I trip, I don't want to trip, so I'm gonna just push you and make you fall, and then I'll probably step on you and get to where I'm going. It'll make me feel better about myself. I wasn't the one that fell. You fell.
Right.
Man, that's good. You
know what I'm saying? So I understand the psychological things that's kind of happening, which is why it's very important for you whenever someone like does that to you, yo, you gotta channel it right back. Like, don't spend time like thinking about it, trying to break it down. Yo, you gotta cut it immediately, yo. You gotta just cut it. That's why I knew as soon as he said something about my bald head, I gotta just rock that. 3 days.
And the good thing too about that, I mean, I don't know if it happened or not, but so he might have pointed, like you're saying, he might have pointed that out because he's starting to lose his hair, but he's still holding on to that.
Right.
And he's insecure about it. Maybe in situations like that, and like I said, I don't know for sure if it happened here, but maybe in situations like that where somebody comes at you and points something out. If it's an insecurity they're dealing with that they're projecting onto you, if you own it like you did, you're like, yes, I'm bald. Like, this is how I live. maybe it showed like the confidence that you came in for the next 3 days like that showed him that he doesn't need to be as insecure as he is.
Right.
And so you have that opportunity when people are putting those insecurities on you. If you show that you're comfortable with it and that it's not a negative thing for you, it's just a fact of life, you could in a way turn and help those people without even, saying something to them. You know what I mean? So, I mean, just it's good to have confidence. It's important to have confidence. It's also important to be self-aware. And if you've got some things in your life that, maybe people point out, then there are things that that you need to improve on. If it's things you can change, but if it's things that you can't change, it's things about you that you don't need to change. Like you were talking about your skin complexion, like those things about you that are just who you are, that are not a bad thing. Those things that don't need to be changed, but there's other things in life that we probably need to work on or definitely need to work on. So I think like be self-aware, know who you are, and look inward, be aware of what your insecurities are and push through them, own them, grow past them. You know what I mean? Don't let them, like you're saying, don't let them fester. Don't let things that people put on you, don't let those people and those things that they say, don't let them own you.
The key to that also too, though, is you have to know who you are.
Right.
Because if you don't have an identity and you have no clue who you are, if someone's going to tell you what you are, immediately you're just going to own it. Oh, yeah. Because, that's what they see. So, okay, I got to be that. I knew that wasn't me.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But what are your big insecurities? Or one of, if any?
When you mentioned yours I was like, do I have I don't know if I have a main one. I think I have several. I'll say one. I'll say two that popped in my head. And this isn't constant, but one is sometimes in groups, like at work or within the miserable company discussions and meetings, sometimes I'm insecure about sharing ideas, especially after an idea has been shared. I second guess myself a lot. So sometimes if it's hey, what should we do? And someone says this and everybody's like, yeah. And I was like, well, I was thinking something else. Sometimes I get insecure about that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's because I don't think my idea is as good or if it's just a comparison, I'm going back and forth. I don't know, but I know there's some insecurity there. And another insecurity that you made me think about, because you were talking about your skin complexion. I've been insecure being the only Black person in the room. For certain reasons, not in all settings, but sometimes that has been uncomfortable for me depending on the people I'm around. So I think those two are the two that I thought about while you guys were talking. Just
in those situations where you felt insecure about that, is it because I'm just trying to understand? I'm sorry.
No, it's good. You're good.
Is it because you felt that other people were looking at you and thinking that? Or is it just because you knew that you were the only Black person in the room? Were you worried that it was other people's opinion of you?
There have been times where I've been the only Black person in the room, and I don't know how to put it, but people act a certain way towards you.
Like how?
I'm trying to be politically correct too.
Just be honest, real.
Sometimes in some instances, because I hate when people say this race does this, because I don't think like that. But I've been in situations where people have treated me less than compared to others. So sometimes when I get in those positions and I'm in the room and I'm the only one that looks like me, I'm like, hey, how are these people going to treat me? Do I have to fight for respect? Or do I have to fight because I have to make it known that certain jokes aren't okay with me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a nice guy, but then it's like sometimes people take advantage of that. So just sometimes being in that situation is a little insecure, and then sometimes it's unwarranted. Sometimes I feel insecure, and then as the day goes on, or like the time goes on that I'm spending with these people, I realize, all right, I'm making a big deal out of nothing. They're cool.
You just had some assumptions because of past situations or experiences. Right.
Which is another reason I said before that a lot of my insecurities are situational, you know?
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. And then like with the ideas thing, what I've tried to do is, you know what, if it sucks or if people don't agree with you or they're not on board, it's okay. Mm-hmm. That's what you're here to do. You're here to...
Is that the thing though? Is it just the idea of someone just shooting down your idea?
No, I think I just feel like when someone presents an idea and everybody likes it, I feel like my idea is not as
you
good.
Just like don't want to rock the boat or something.
It's something like that. Like I just don't want to okay, they've already said what they want to do.
I'll just go with it.
Right. And then sometimes just because my thinking is a little different from other people, sometimes I feel like I'm wrong in my thinking.
So that's where it's necessary for you to share your opinion. If you're in a room with people, especially in a room that's like, like when we're all together, I mean, we joke on each other all the time, but we all value each other's feedback. And I think that's like those situations, you, yourself, and anybody listening, like where you feel you're different or you have a different viewpoint from the people in the room, that's when it's most necessary for you to share that viewpoint.
Definitely important.
Yeah. I think you're right too. And especially as I get older, it gets easier to push past that and do that. Sometimes I still don't. There have been times where like ideas have been thrown out, wherever I am. And I'm just like,
I feel like a lot of times when we're all together and we're talking through ideas, you're usually quiet. And we have to be like, what are you thinking? You haven't said yes or no on any of this. Do you disagree?
And that's fine. And sometimes I'm just thinking. Yeah. Because that's like, I'll leave meetings and then be like, oh, I should have said that. Because I'm not quick, off the top sometimes. I need to think. I'm one of those people like somebody will present ideas or we'll be in a healthy debate and somebody will present like their position. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're saying. I'll get in my car. 10 minutes later, I'll be like, nah, right. And I'm like, dang it. Why didn't this come to me like 20 minutes earlier? Yeah. So sometimes when I'm quiet, it's that's part of it. But there is an insecurity there that I still need to push through and work past.
Sure.
Yeah. So you want to close us out and summarize? I can't do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess just to kind of wrap up our own insecurities that we were talking about, if you're the kind of person that deals with some sort of physical insecurity where something about you makes you feel less than, whether it be your skin color, or like, maybe like your weight or something like that, or like Phil's example, like, a lot of men deal with hair loss. Even women deal with hair loss too.
Yeah.
If you're that kind of person, and if you're dealing with some sort of physical insecurity, it's important to realize that your physical insecurities are not your measure of worth and value. If you want to grow and you want to change, you want to improve something about yourself physically, and you can, and it's reasonable, and it's, not really weird. And by all means, like, try to grow, try to improve.
Definitely.
If you just real quick, when I first learned that soreness of muscles meant that your muscles were literally torn, like thousands of like micro tears, it like
blew your mind.
It blew my mind and grossed me out all at the same time. But
I feel like you've been thinking about that the whole time.
It just came back to me.
Like, hold on.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it for like a solid 2 minutes when you brought it up there. But so if you want to make those kinds of changes, if it's more of like a mental thing for you that you have insecurities, whatever it is, first just be aware it's not who you are. It's not going to be who you are forever. You can grow, you can change in many ways, and it's necessary and it's important. So push past your insecurities, because that's where you find growth in that challenge. If you're afraid of certain things or certain situations, certain people, maybe people come at you a lot with whatever projected insecurities that they might have. Try the Phill method. Just smile through it. Don't let them get to you.
Which is easier said than done.
Yes, absolutely. It takes a lot of growth. It takes a lot of time, focused energy.
I want to add another solution too.
Yeah.
I just thought about it. I think if you're insecure too, an important thing to do is to talk about it, because that'll help you overcome it. And I'm not necessarily saying you have to get with a group of people and talk about it. Say it out loud in the mirror to yourself. Yeah. I'm insecure about this, because I think once you call it by name and once you recognize it and point it out, then you can begin to kind of work your way around that.
Yeah.
And to
find a plan of attack of some kind. Yeah.
Right. Like you said, you realized that it made you insecure because that was the first time you did that and somebody said something about it, but you're like, 3 days. That was kind of like your plan after you figured out what it was.
Right.
And then you were able to push past that. So I do think you have to say it out loud, name it, and then, okay, how am I going to move forward? Especially if you can't change the thing that you're insecure about.
Right.
If I'm insecure about being black, at some point in my life, I'm going to have to be okay with being a black guy. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing.
I'm not insecure about that. I'm just saying.
but here's the thing too, though. We have to understand that we live in a world now that if you're insecure about your body, let's say your lips, or whatever. We live in a world and a time now that you can change
too much. You
could change things like that, right? So let's say, whatever, whatever you're insecure about.
Right.
Let's say if I'm insecure about my weight, I could just go to the doctors and be like, yo, I'm too fat. I'm too fat.
Suck it out.
And I don't want to work it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Yeah. That's not a solution. I mean, it is a solution, but it's not the right solution.
Right. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, we live in a world, in a society now where everything is just microwave. It's instant.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's that I need this now. And that person looks like this, and they told me that I don't look like that, and I need to look like that. Right? Or your skin tone isn't, the right skin tone. So now you need to bleach your skin and look like this. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we live in a society now where, like, that's just okay. But it's also okay to accept who you are.
Right.
Accept, everybody plays a perfect role, man. And for me, I'm not trying to look like this dude. Right? And I don't want him looking like me. Right? God created me the way how I am for a particular reason.
Right.
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Right? So, hey, if it bothers you that my skin tone is darker, man, tough, man. That's the way how God created me.
Tough.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's the nicest way I could say it. But, honestly, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And why does it doesn't do you any difference?
Sure. Yeah.
Right? If I'm bald and you got a little bit more hair follicles on your head that's like growing and you gonna rock it out, man, cool for you, bro. I just decided to just shave the joint off. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
So, understand your place.
The thing too, you're talking about, like, we live in a time now where people can, like, kind of change pretty much anything about themselves. The thing to realize is, like, I said that's not a solution because, like, I'm overweight. If I wanted to go, like, the liposuction route or something like that, one of those instant gratification, if that's an insecurity of mine, if weight is an insecurity of mine, and then I get a surgery and I'm not fat anymore, I'm still going to be insecure about something else. It's going to transfer somewhere else.
Right.
And you're going to be
never took care of it.
Right. You're going to be chasing, like, this, what you feel is a solution to your insecurity, but it's really not. You're running away from it. So, learn to love yourself, learn to accept yourself, but also learn that like if you want to change, that's not a bad thing. You can improve, you can change.
It's healthy too, man.
Right. But don't chase like an immediate solution, because that's not how you're going to overcome those insecurities.
True.
It's just not the solution. So.
All right. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Hopefully y'all learned something.
If not, then
tough.
Yeah.
Tough. All right. Thanks for listening.